What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. As of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great show for you guys today. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get to everything. You guys are going to have to forgive me. Some of the stuff we're going to have to find a little bit on the fly because I've just had such a crazy week and a crazy day. I was actually going to try to go live Tuesday, but yeah, man, kids. I don't know what else to tell you. I got my daughter started wilding out. So her name is Nicki, but we call her Maria Bajaqueta, which is basically she just because she just likes to out of nowhere start snapping because she wants me to hold her all the time. Yeah, and this actually wasn't an issue with my son as much, my baby boy. He now wants that type of attention because he sees his sister. But yeah, now my daughter, who I guess I brought this upon myself and I said I was gonna spoil her to death, is now in a my wife can't hold her as much because she had C-section. So like, I'm out here trying to take care of my wife. And whenever Maria Bajaqueta whenever she starts crying and doing her thing, I guess we gotta step in. So when she finally rests, or at least at that point, by the time she finally was sleeping, I'm like, well, it's too late now. I'm too tired. Yeah. So, but we were able to lock in today. We have a great show. We're going to be talking about AOC and Zora Mamdani. Yep. I told y'all. I told y'all about Mamdani. We already knew about AOC, but I told y'all about Mamdani. Yeah, they're out here defending Hakeem Jeffries. They don't want anybody challenging him at this moment in time. So we got some questions for those of you who believe the Democratic Party can be reformed. We got some very valid questions about that because I was told that the whole point of an AOC or a Zora Mamdani getting elected was specifically to get people like Hakeem Jeffries out of office. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the clear color revolution attempt that we're seeing in Mexico and why it's happening. It could, because we've gotten some mixed stories from people. Some people believe that it's legitimate, that the protests are legitimate, and there could be some truth to that, and we'll talk about that. But like in reality, it looks like a color revolution attempt. And I really wanted to, I don't know if y'all know, but like whenever the whole situation started, Trump was kind of quiet. And I wanted to wait until he spoke because I knew he was waiting. I'm like, yeah, he about to say some dumb shit. I know he's gonna let us know what his true intentions are. All we gotta do is wait. And he did, and he let us know exactly what his plans would be if Mexico and Claudia Sheinbaum allowed him to get involved. We're also going to talk about these Epstein files, the House voting to release them, what that could mean, if we're actually going to see anything meaningful that comes from the release of these Epstein files. Also, we're going to talk about Kash Patel's response to this entire situation, which is absolutely ludicrous. I can't believe he said what he said, but we're going to check it out. We're also going to talk about Nicki Minaj and the genocide of Nigerian Christians and her cuddling up to the Trump administration on behalf of the empire, which is basically Nicki Minaj's brand now. It's chasing clout, however, and wherever she can. So whenever you get a chance, like this video, share this video, comment, let me know where you're watching from. And we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. First things first, yeah, we're going to have a conversation about Mamdani and his little friend, AOC, and how they basically just said, yeah, we're not, not that Mamdani's actually won. They've given up even trying to pretend like they're on our side. So let's go ahead and check out this video I did for Hotspot, and we gonna talk about it. There we go. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear it. And all that good.
AOC throwing shade and discouraging leftists from challenging Hakeem Jeffries. Yes, Councilman AOC of New York announced that he will be challenging Hakeem Jeffries. And you know what AOC had to say? She certainly doesn't think it's a good idea to primary challenge the leader at this moment in time. This is your progressive champion. This woman is your leftist queen. She couldn't even give a good reason as to why she doesn't think it's a good idea to challenge Hakeem Jeffries, ladies and gentlemen, which is hilariously ironic because in order for AOC to win, she had to primary Joe Crowley, who was the leader of the Democratic caucus and was set up and in line to replace Nancy Pelosi as a leader of the Democrats in the House. Looks like AOC has finally completed her transition from leaving the squad to joining the mafia. The Democratic mafia, I mean. Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, I haven't forgotten. It was just last week that a lot of y'all were calling me crazy for suggesting that Mamdani also didn't support Jose's run against Hakeem Jeffries. Despite Jose supporting Mamdani, despite Jose being an advocate and a friend of Mamdani said that I believe there are many ways right here in New York City to both deliver on affordability agenda and to take on the authoritarian administration in the White House when he was asked about Jose.
Let me talk about Hakeem Jeffries for a moment, who now may face a challenge from TOSA, who is a member of the DSA. You said that there are local issues that Mr. Jose should be focused on, maybe should remain a councilman. Are you saying he should not run against Hakeem Jeffries?
No, I'm saying that I think the focus should be right here on New York City. I respect the work that Councilmember Jose has done.
But what does that mean? Should he not run?
I think that right now is not the time to be engaging in that kind of a primary. I think the focus should be on delivering on the affordability.
That kind of.
In other words, when offered an opportunity to dispel the claims that he will not be supporting Jose and instead will be backing Jeffries, he did not dispel those claims. If anything, he just kind of doubled down. So two quote unquote progressives from New York have just thrown the left under the bus again after taking a bunch of y'all money, using the clout that y'all gave them, and making a bunch of promises they had zero intention on keeping. And y'all still think this party and these motherfuckers are redeemable. Hell, in a recent meeting with Jerry Nadler, Mamdani discouraged a supporter from explaining why leftists are anti-Zionist. But this is supposed to be y'all pro-Palestine champion.
And I heard that in this meeting, another elected starts explaining to Nadler basically why progressives and leftists believe or make a priority of anti-Zionism. And that Mamdani looks at said person and tells them to stop and says, this is not what we're here to do. We're not here to try to talk Jerry Nadler into some position he doesn't have. We're fine with the position he has. I can tell you for a fact, he is in those rooms telling them to stop.
He's trying to discourage leftists from moving Democrats on their pro-Zionist position. AOC is refusing to support progressive challengers from New York who want to oust establishment Democrats because they're leaders, despite the fact that her whole career is predicated on a victory that came against a leader of the Democratic Party. So explain to me once again how we're supposed to redeem a genocidal, psychopathic party. It's time to abolish these motherfuckers because the main impediment to progress, at least from a leftist perspective, are the Democrats who keep pretending they want the same things as you and then telling you to fuck off when you try to actually fight for change. So how's reforming the Democratic Party going for you, social Democrats? Because I thought the point of everyone getting behind Mamdani, despite the fact that he was joining the Democratic mafia to try and win the mayor of New York, was to reform the Democratic Party from the inside. But many of us try to tell you don't reform the Democratic Party from the inside. Once you get inside, it reforms you. And y'all attacked us for it. Y'all said him being pro-Palestine was a victory, and yet he chose to maintain the very Zionist commissioner who was present when students were getting the shit kicked out of them for being part of pro-Palestinian protests. Them's y'all's people. Go get them. The same way y'all was in my comments defending Mamdani, the same way y'all been in my comments for years making an excuse for AOC, I want y'all to keep that same energy and go get those people that's supposed to be reforming that party y'all think can be reformed. Because we told y'all and y'all ain't want to listen.
Listen, guys, I'm not the kind of person that likes to say I told you so. Nah, I'd be lying if I said that. I'd be lying if I said that. But I don't like to be the person that crushes people's dreams. I will say that. But Mamdani should have never been a dream. Like AOC crawled so Mamdani could run. We saw who and what Mamdani was already to a lesser degree with with Bernie, with Obama, right? But then, okay, maybe you're too young to remember Obama. Maybe you like, oh, well, Bernie never got a chance to win. And so it's a little bit different. Oh, well, AOC, no, there's literally nothing. AOC has achieved nothing. She's done nothing. She went right up on stage and promised y'all that Kamala Harris is going to fight to end the genocide whenever Kamala Harris herself wouldn't even claim that she was going to fight to end the genocide happening in Palestine. And then turns around and pretends like she's an advocate for Palestinians. So that's what I mean when I say AOC crawled, and ironically in New York, of all places, so that Mamdani could run and actually win. And whenever we saw all of the red flags upon red flags upon red flags, that shit looked like Six Flags theme park. Y'all are like, well, let's just wait until he actually has a chance. Huh? No, like, what do you mean? Why would I wait? When you were courting actively, when you're actively courting the support of the establishment Democrats you're allegedly running to oust, why do I need to wait? Christian, appreciate the super chat, my guy. I got 5 on it. Kick Mamdani and AOC back out. Right now is not the time for democracy. How dare someone challenge that AIPAC shield, Hakeem? Exactly. What do you mean? Right now is not the time. Bro, when they asked AOC and she said, well, it's just not a good time. The Democrats have achieved nothing. They just pretended as if the Democrats in general, pretended like this whole shutdown was about them fighting for policies for the working class that the Republicans refused to put into the bill. Once they won their elections, they said, well, actually, I guess those policies aren't that important anymore. And they voted to pass the bill. In other words, they shut down people. And for those of you who don't know, there were actually people that were furloughed. That actually happened. There were people who did work for a time, it was a brief time, but there were people who worked without getting paid. Like there are reservists, for example, that work without getting paid. There's people in the VA that work without getting paid. Because the Democrats claimed it was to get certain social safety nets secured. The moment they won their elections, they said, yeah, nah. And although it was held up in the Senate, Hakeem Jeffries was one of the main mouthpieces pushing that talking point. The establishment Democrats are more vulnerable right now than potentially they've ever been. Or at least they were. And if you believe in the duopoly, if you believe in this, this fugazi voting system, this government, this fake theatrical government, the establishment Democrats are as vulnerable as they've ever been. And Trump is damn near trying to, it seems like he and the Republicans are trying to lose, which means if you actually had people in power that were like willing to do the bare minimum as far as challenging the establishment and being honest and being anti-imperialist and fighting on behalf of the working class, if they're willing to do the bare minimum, they can take out Republicans. So what do you mean right now isn't the time to run against somebody like Hakeem Jeffries? If not now, then when? I know that's like a fucking popular cliche, but I'm being literal. If not now, then when? Like, seriously. Hakeem Jeffries is a Zion. He's like, oh, there's things we can get done right now in New York. Okay. What is that? But maybe Osei sees things that he feels can be done on a national level. And if you want people to help you get initiatives passed in New York, well, then as mayor and as somebody with a microphone as loud as you do, and how a billionaire funding you have at your disposal, yeah, I ain't forget about that, then you can help people get elected that will help your agenda. Why does that mean you protect Hakeem Jeffries? Because what the correct answer would be is, as much as I would like to have Jose stay here and help me pass my agenda, our goal is to reform the Democratic Party. And part of doing that is to take leaders out who are not leading, at least not leading in a way that will benefit the working class that the Democratic Party is allegedly trying to help. And therefore, see, if Jose wants to take out Jeffries, and I fully support it. Because literally, if not now, then when? And once again, like I said in the video, for AOC people to be like, I don't think right now is a good time to challenge a leader. That is literally how you won. You challenged Joe Crowley and you won. And Joe Crowley was a leader of the Democratic caucus. He was the one who was supposed to replace Nancy Pelosi. He was next in line. That's one of the reasons why AOC's victory was such a big deal. People forget that. It wasn't just that she just won some random office. She beat the next person in charge. And I heard so many excuses as to why we should be giving Mamdani a chance. I'm like, give him a chance to what? Because my thing is, I don't want to see another quote unquote leftist, another progressive, whatever you want to call him, claiming that he's for us and y'all throwing more money at him when y'all could be throwing it into mutual aid instead. Throwing more energy into this guy when you could be throwing that energy into mutual aid, into street projects, donating and helping out people like Butch Ware, Kashama Sawant. Like, there are legitimate ways that we could be spending our time and energy and money, and yet we see people falling for the AOC, the Barack Obama, the Bernie Sanders once again. How long have I been saying, AOC is dangerous? How long, for those of you who've been watching this show for a while now, how long have I been telling y'all AOC is going to run for president? And I specifically, if I'm not mistaken, I specifically said in 2028. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I said. I'm pretty sure I predicted that exactly. Like, it was obvious. And what's crazy about AOC is I've never seen a person do absolutely nothing. AOC has done nothing since getting into Congress. She can't even win a leadership position on any of the communities that she's been a part of. And yet she is wholly confident that she has legitimate chance in winning a rigged primary. And she is so confident that she's about to ask y'all for more money. And unfortunately, there is so many dumbasses or ill-informed individuals that are going to give her the money and donate their time. That makes her dangerous because I truly believe, the Democratic Party should be abolished. Like it has to go. I feel like there should be a movement on the left to abolish the Democratic Party because, like I said in the video, they are the biggest impediment to progress because they are the ones claiming that they want what we want and that they're going to fight for it. And then when we tell people, hey man, so for example, Mamdani, why did Mamdani get famous? Why did Mamdani get famous, y'all? Because of his pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist rhetoric. He said, I'm not going to go to Israel. He's pro-Palestine. Okay, that sounds good in theory, right? It's a good talking point, more power to you. But so I'm a pragmatic person. I like to think about how things will work in practice. So as the mayor of New York, what does that mean and what does that look like? As a mayor of New York, fit those who are pro-Palestine. Okay, so he comes out and says he's going to put together an anti-Semitism task force. Okay, we're not off to a good start, but I'm going to give you another try. Then he capitulates on the phrase globalize and intifada instead of using it as an opportunity to educate people on what it actually means, which is combating imperialist Zionism in all of its forms. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. But nope, he capitulates on that, talking about how he talked to some Jewish community members and this is what it means to them. I don't give a shit about what it means to them. That's like asking a racist, what does racism actually mean to them? I don't give a damn. I'm not going to change the definition of a word or change the meaning of a phrase because these motherfuckers want to gaslight me into believing in something that is not. That's not how words work. All right, man. So let me just go ahead and fast forward. Let me just give you another opportunity. So what about this police commission? Because you said you was going to arrest Bibi Netanyahu on day one. Well, he said he going to show up to your crib on day one. He going to show up in New York. What you going to do? I'm going to keep Jessica Tisch, the Zionist police commissioner that spoke at the ADL about how she will not tolerate anti-Semitism, quote unquote, which we really know is anti-Zionism, or more specifically, pro-Palestinian, anti-genocide, right? I'm going to keep Jessica Tisch, the Zionist billionaire heiress. Yeah, I know that about her, did you? Yeah, Jessica Tisch is a billionaire heiress. Her selection as police commissioner is not some random coincidence. And I'm sure her being a billionaire Zionist also isn't a coincidence. Jessica Tisch was the police commissioner when students were getting their heads kicked in by the NYPD. And when she had a chance to condemn the way these students were getting beaten for engaging in their First Amendment rights on college campuses, she instead goes to the ADL, speaks at one of their events, and talks about how anti-Semitism is a problem and how, as police commissioner, she will not tolerate it. So that is who you are going to ask to arrest Bibi Netanyahu on day one? Oh, no, he ain't going to. That's what's going to happen. Oh, because he already said, well, it went from, yeah, I'm absolutely going to do it to, well, I'm not Donald Trump. And so I have to, I can only operate within the laws that New York and the United States allow. Oh, yeah, so you just changed your mind. But you damn sure ain't say that about Vladimir Putin. You ain't said that about Nicolas Maduro. He said if Putin ever arrives in New York, he gonna arrest him. That's what he said. Thomas Lauer, thanks for the super chat. I agree. The Democratic Party needs to be abolished. I think AOC is going to try to challenge Schumer for his seat for his Senate seat. No, she won't. That would take too much time. Why do that when you can start preparing for your 2028 presidential run in 2026? Maybe if she loses the presidential seat, because she's going to have enough national attention. And she would win New York if she ran. I believe that. If she ran for president, she would win the primary. And then maybe that could be her plan, because I know she knows she can't win. She's not going to win the presidency. She's not going to win a rigged Democratic primary. There's no way. But she can use it to as like a jumping off point for a Senate race against Schumer, who no one likes, using very similar tactics that Mamdani used. So, look, Christian, no Black Americans in his cabinet, but at the Wu-Tang concert with that other buck dancing Jamal, hey, facts. No Black American. And y'all know what's crazy about that? Black people got him elected. It was mostly Black people that voted for Mamdani. That's what's crazy. Like, people don't know. Yeah, it was mostly Black people that got him elected, y'all. But we're talking about he keeps talking. One of the first things he tweeted out when he won: anti-Semitism will not be tolerated. Yeah, man. So what about those Black people that got you elected? We got anything for them? Because you've made it a point to discuss how important it is to make sure that certain demographics are protected from discrimination and prejudice. Okay, so what about the Black people who are economically discriminated against and quite literally discriminated against when it comes to cops? We already know how that goes in New York. What about them? What about their housing being in their housing, the environment, like in the Bronx, like how it's being systematically destroyed for profit, being poisoned, their water being poisoned, buildings being them being forced out via gentrification. Yes, I am from New York, actually. And I lived in New York. My last two places I lived out in New York were Brooklyn, right off Bedford Ave, and I was right before I left, I was in Queens, off of Queens Boulevard. But I left because New York basically turned into shit. But yeah, I was born in New York as well. Mamdani is a problem. AOC is a problem. The Democrats are the problem because Republicans wouldn't stand a chance if Democrats just wouldn't keep throwing races. They're just handing them races, bro. Like, once again, I know we joke about this back in the day, and we joke about it even now, but like, imagine how bad Hillary Clinton and the Democrats had to be overall for Trump to have won in 2016. And then, like, y'all cheated to get Joe Biden in power, which is like a whole different thing. Because, like, the man's memory was shit back then. He was a damn, this man failed his way to the top. He had to quit races before for plagiarism. We had the 94 crime bill. We all know about the Ukraine situation. Dude's a sex pest and a segregationist who failed his way to the top. And when y'all finally had to acknowledge that he wasn't running the show anymore, then he had to drop out. Y'all like, yeah, man, let's give the woman who didn't get a single vote in the primary because she couldn't make it to the damn primary elections. Let's just literally hand her the damn nomination via a Twitter announcement. And people think, and oh, by the way, throughout that administration, yeah, like genocide. And hell, you could call what happened in Ukraine somewhat a genocide. Now, it wasn't Russia committing the genocide, it was Russia defending itself. But the United States and NATO just threw Ukrainians into the meat grinder. So the United States is responsible for 2 genocides because both of those could have been stopped. Or not, the United States and specifically the Democratic Party, because both of those could have been stopped if they were not being funded by the United States. Right or wrong? Okay. What's weird too about Mamdani, before I switch gears, y'all know he played a lot into the Muslim thing, right? The Republicans are dumbasses, but you can almost argue that they wanted him to win because I mean, hell, you saw that the Republicans were bankrolling Andrew Cuomo, right? They didn't want people voting for the other guy. I can't remember his name, but they were like, "Don't vote for him, vote for Cuomo because the other guy doesn't have a chance." But they wanted Cuomo. They were saying vote for Cuomo really because they knew that, like, dog, come on, Cuomo was not gonna win. Like the option, like Mamdani had no choice but to win. Like he had to do something crazy, like molest somebody on the last day before, like it would. The feats that he would have had to achieve to lose an election were just too much. He didn't do anything amazing by beating Eric Adams, and a sex pest who was literally kicked out of office. Like he didn't do anything really, but like what's crazy about it is like he leaned into this Muslim thing. And it seemed like mostly because the Republicans were giving him more promo for him being Muslim than Democrats were. If y'all peep game, Republicans were more hype about Mamdani. I mean, literally, if you go to your Twitter feed or your X feed at the time, I would see more posts about Mamdani from Republicans than Democrats or liberals or leftists. And that is not a coincidence. Why? Because Mamdani will fail. And they kept talking about him being a Muslim. But in actuality, it was benefiting him being a Muslim. And he leaned into it because of his pro-Palestine stance. And him being a Muslim, and then and people remembering his quote unquote pro-Palestine stance was making people forget how really Zionist his policies and talking points had become. And Republicans are about to benefit from the overcorrection that comes from Mamdani's failures, right or wrong. We know that. They might benefit around the country because Mamdani he's promising stuff that he can't even get. He's not even in charge of. Like, oh, we're gonna make buses free. That is not in Mamdani's power. That is the state's. Like, if you're from New York, you already know about the beef that the rest of the state got with New York City. Why? Because the entire state pays for the metro system that really people from the city and people who work in the city use. Upstate New York is not using the New York City metro system, but yet it comes out of their taxes every paycheck. So the power of the control over the metro system is actually with the state and the governor and the state legislature, which I'm sure Mamdani knows, but he don't care. He's gonna say whatever he gotta say. But he's making false promises. There ain't no way in hell the state they make so much money from the metro system. You think the state is about to allow Mamdani to make buses free? No, nor does he have the power to do so. Somebody asked that. Why are people acting like the mayor of NY is the president of the world? That's my goddamn question. That is my question. That's also what makes him so damn dangerous. It's like, why are people acting like that? He don't even have as much power in New York as people think he might have. At least not to do the things that he says he want to do. But what's interesting is how the politics of the world at the time, at least in regard to Palestine, actually got him elected. And him being Muslim and people being all like, oh, remember, y'all don't remember 9/11? It's like, what the hell? That boy was 7 years old. Second of all, now we care about 9/11. But when Trump bringing Jolani, Mr. Al-Qaeda, to the White House, and Joe Biden worked with Israel to coup Assad, to put Jolani in power, now it's okay to forget about 9/11. Yeah. I just can't get over that shit. Cause like Didn't that all happen like within a week of each other? That happened like within a week and a half of each other. Literally, Mamdani wins. You got all these Republicans showing pictures of like, oh, y'all already forgot, huh? Y'all already forgot about 9/11. And then like Jolani is in the White House and Trump is kissing his ass. I'm like, hold up, Jolani from Al Qaeda? That guy? The one with that literally had a bounty on his head until like the day before he went to the White House, or maybe the same day, and it got lifted like hours before. $10 million on his head for being a leader in Al Qaeda and ISIS? Hold on, what happened to all the pictures? Y'all not why aren't y'all posting pictures with Jolani shaking hands with Trump and then putting Twin Towers in the background? What happened to that? Like, okay, so y'all are okay with forgetting, as long as Trump tells you to forget. Got it. Maybe it's okay if y'all forget this one time. But y'all know what one of the things that's weird about Mamdani is like, y'all do know he's from Uganda, right? People, that's why he can't be president. Allegedly he can't be president, but if Ted Cruz is allowed to run in 2028, we already know that's about to be disputed because he's actually Canadian, even though he renounced his citizenship. He was not born here. They're going to use the fact that one of his parents was a U.S. citizen when he was born, and that's what's going to allow him to win. But at that point, I think that is also what could be used as the argument to allow Mamdani to run, which is why so many people are worried that Mamdani could be president or could run for president. So we're going to see how that works out. But he is Ugandan. Okay. Y'all know how everybody kept talking about him like using his hands to eat, like that weird thing. Like it was a whole thing about him using his hands. And like they were pointing, if you were on X, you saw it was a lot of references to him eating with his hands because of his Muslim culture. That is not a Muslim thing. And I don't know where the hell people got that from. But what's even stranger is the fact that Mamdani let people believe that. It's not a Muslim, that's an African thing. That's a Ugandan thing. And it's weird that he let people believe that it was a Muslim thing. Nobody really peeped that? But like, I remember I said to somebody at the time, and I might have even said it during the interview, but like, people kind of just like brush it off like, yeah, man, that's kind of weird. No, that is super weird, actually. That he's like, nah, it's like a Muslim thing. And when Republicans were trying to attach that cultural, like that cultural practice with Islam, he didn't even bother to correct it. He like leaned into it and continued to pretend that is some type of Muslim tradition. Yes, there are Muslims who live in parts of the world where that is part of the culture. That is not a Muslim thing. Actually, Muslims are usually notably clean. They're like kind of like neat freaks. I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but if you're Muslim or if you know Muslims, like it's a whole thing within the culture. He never. You got famous from talking about Palestine. You got famous from leaning into your Muslim culture because of Palestine. You ain't do shit. You ain't gonna do shit for Palestine, and you are bringing back the very people who oppress and suppress Palestinian support to lead in New York. You're bringing Zion. Literally, his exact words were, "I'm going to have Zionists in my administration." He said that. Okay, so why haven't you brought any attention to what's happening in Uganda? Like there's like a Ugandan dictator that's helping to actually contribute to the problems in the Congo. But I think it's the same Uganda. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same guy who's been in charge since the 80s. Why aren't you talking about what's happening in Sudan? Why didn't you reference because like, yeah, I know he's Desi. He's a Desi Ugandan, but you are Ugandan nonetheless. Like, if you're going to lean so much into your culture, why haven't you talked about any of the things happening in Africa? Why haven't you talked about Africa at all? Like, especially given who your dad is. Nobody else felt like that was weird. Like, these were all things that I felt were red flags because it was all kind of similar shit, I guess, to Obama once again. Obama kind of pretended as if, even though he was a Kenyan and like maybe his dad was a part of his life, but his stepdad was Kenyan too. His mom lived in Kenya. It ain't like he wasn't familiar with the damn country. But hell, in the case of Mamdani, this man is actually African. Yeah, he's of Desi descent. Like they're African, there's all different, there's different types of Africans. But like, bro, you can't pretend like you were anti-imperialist, talk about how Palestinians are being treated, and then like not talk about Africa after you are leading into this African practice of eating to try and troll Republicans. It all was weird. It was an act. It was theater. And when these red flags were going off, and so many of us were trying to tell you guys, like, yo, no, this is weird. This dude's put on an act. He's fake. He's fugazi. Yeah, he's bullshitting. We got attacked, y'all. Yo, I did a video about Mamdani on Instagram, y'all. When I tell you, it got a shitload of views. But when I tell y'all, because it was the first time. So when the New York Times article came out and said, yeah, Mamdani is not supporting Osei in the race against Jeffries, even though Osei had not, he hadn't registered yet. And people were like, we're trusting the New York Times. I said, no, I'm trusting patterns of behavior. Because he was courting establishment Democrat endorsements, and that is including Jeffries. I've seen this before. I know what's about to happen. I know that we don't trust the New York Times, but I do trust patterns of behavior. And Osei filed. And at that, before Osei even filed, Mamdani had not negated the claims, which nobody wanted to talk about. I'm like, every time somebody does lie about Mamdani or says something that's untrue or something that he wants to negate, he comes out on TV or goes on social media and immediately addresses it. So if this is untrue, what's stopping him from coming out and being like, hey, this ain't true. I'm rocking with my boy. Nothing. There was nothing stopping him. He could have came out. And then when Osei filed, he got asked directly, what did Mamdani say? Oh, actually, yeah, that man Niko was right. My bad. And all of a sudden, everybody who was attacking me on Instagram and Twitter, it was quiet all of a sudden. Nobody's attacking me anymore. All that shit about the New York, all right, y'all, you ain't gonna tell me about how untrustworthy the New York Times is. I know. But so the New York Times is untrustworthy but opportunistic. I can trust them to be opportunistic. And they know that exposing Mamdani's loyalty to the Democratic establishment will fracture leftists. So they don't have to lie about something like that. Telling the truth about Mamdani in that particular instance benefits the establishment. I know that's like this level, there's layers to this shit. But yeah. So we're protecting Hakeem Jeffries now in the same way that AOC was protecting Nancy Pelosi. We don't challenge leaders because it's not, right now is not a good time, everybody. Right now, I don't know when. I don't know when's a good time, but right now apparently isn't the time. I want to shift gears real quick, man, because Nicki Minaj went on Twitter, spoke about the genocide happening against Christians in Nigeria like a good little imperialist puppet. And so, of course, minutes later, it seemed like anyway. But it was in all seriousness, it was within like 24 hours. The Trump administration invites her to speak at the United Nations with Waltz. This is what happens whenever your career starts crashing. Boy, it's like a pattern. It's like a pattern. I'm black. My career isn't quite what it used to be. I can see my descent. I'm looking in the mirror and all I can see is my descent, my fall from grace. You said all I gotta do is kiss Republican ass and say Trump's name and I can be famous again? Well, shit, that's too easy. But Cardi B done got her fall fucked up in the game, bro. She, Nicki Minaj has actually been a historic hater. So, like, let me just go and get that. Like, if y'all don't know, like, because this is a person who actually respected her ability because as an artist, like as a rapper, like she is, and to some degree, or was, and still to some degree is a very talented rapper. Like, her whole persona was very creative, but the moment that other female artists began to come into the game, like she immediately started attacking everybody because she wanted to be the only one. She couldn't handle the idea that there were other talented artists or talented female artists. I mean, whenever I remember the first song she ever did, it was a feature that she did with Cardi B and the Migos. Like the first time she ever did a feature with a female artist like that, or female artist as famous as Cardi, was that song. It was called Motorsport. And her and Cardi couldn't even record together. They weren't even in the same place when they recorded the video. And if you listen to Nicki's verse, it was clearly written after Cardi had already made her verse, because the verse was basically attacking Cardi B in the same song. So as these other female artists have become more popular, Nicki has become less of a one of one, and her career has suffered because of it, and she's not as relevant as she used to be. So what does that mean? That means we go to the United Nations and we recite speeches that were clearly written, or at least to some degree, written by the imperialists who are trying to justify overthrowing or putting boots on ground in Nigeria. So let's check out just a little bit of her speech real quick, because y'all gonna be like, bruh.
Hello, everyone. So please, well, thank you, Ambassador Waltz, for this invitation. It is an honor to stand on this stage with you and the other distinguished speakers here today to shine a spotlight on the deadly threat faced by thousands of Christians in Nigeria. I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage in calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief.
Okay, so my first question would be, are we defending people's natural human, God-given right to practice whatever religion they please? Is that what we're defending? Is that what Trump is trying to defend? Because if that's the case, then I got some bad news for Nicki, because there have actually been more Muslims killed in Nigeria than Christians. And Boko Haram, the ones doing the killing, I don't think that they stopped and was like, hey, man, are you Christian? Do you hang out? You got some Christian friends? Oh, we got to kill you. Nah, I think that the killing that's happening, there has been beef between Christians and Muslims in Nigeria since at least the 90s. That's not the issue. But the killing seemingly has nothing to do with religion, but to let everybody know. But we'll let her continue.
I stand here as a proud New Yorker with a deep sense of gratitude that we live in a country where we can freely and safely worship God, regardless of one's creed, background, or politics. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion, like I recently stated.
Yeah. What about Muslims? Like you in New York, right? Like we just got to talk about Mamdani. Even though I don't like Mamdani, it was the Trump people, principally Republicans, that have been shitting on him nonstop for no other reason other than being Muslim. But all right.
On social
And also, like, so we're not gonna talk about the fact that Trump didn't care and has not cared that Muslims are getting slaughtered in Nigeria. Okay, all right.
media. And we don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. We're way beyond thinking or expecting or assuming for, the person sitting next to you to have the exact same beliefs. We're beyond that. That's ridiculous. But that shouldn't make one person feel less safe than anyone in any room. Music has taken me around the globe. I have seen how people, no matter their language, culture, or religion, come alive when they hear a song that touches their soul. Religious freedom means we all can sing our faith regardless of who we are, where we live, and what we believe.
Who we are, where we live, and what we believe. That's what religious freedom means. Real quick. Do y'all think that Nicki Minaj has literally any idea of the irony of that statement while there's a genocide happening in Palestine? I'm not like, do y'all think that she even knows that there's a genocide happening in Palestine? Because she's like, religious freedom means like, yeah, I know what religious freedom means. But there's an argument that can be made that, like, for example, the reason Palestinians are allowed to be murdered to the tunes of hundreds of thousands, whether it be directly through military engagement, guns, bombs, starvation, et cetera, is not just because they're Muslim, not just because they're Arab, but because the people doing the assaulting, the genocide, are Zionists. It's not just like, so it's, yeah, they're Muslims, and yeah, they're also Arab, but the massacre that's allowed to happen there is specifically because of the religion and the creed of the people who are doing the massacring. Because even though it might not have been the religion, oh no, actually it could be the religion too. Because like those same people, those same Zionists massacred Christian Palestinians. Those same Zionists targeted the largest Christian church in Palestine, blew it to hell, and Christians had nothing to say about it. Nicki Minaj had nothing to say about it. I mean, you got anything to say about the fact that rabbis actually justified the destruction of Christian churches in Palestine? I mean, hell, rabbis are out there justifying spitting on Christians because they're simply Christians, because they're not Jewish. As Officer Tatum, man, I went to Israel. They only spit on me one time. Oh shit! I still never forget that. They only spit on me one time. So like, why is it? Because whenever those Christian churches were being bombarded over and over again in Palestine, those videos were going viral on X, on TikTok, on Instagram. We were talking about it. They were a big deal. Nicki Minaj was on hush. So Christians and Christians in general have been massacred in Palestine. Like that's not we know that's happened and it's happening. Not just Muslims. But whenever Christians in Nigeria are getting massacred, all of a sudden you care. Or, right around the time that Trump all of a sudden won't stop talking about it and has floated the idea of putting boots on the ground in Nigeria. You know that Christians in the AES countries have been targeted as well by terrorist organizations, also funded, by the way, by the United States. Muslims too. Because it's almost as if those terrorist organizations don't give a damn about your religion. Their goal is to destabilize and kill civilians. And they might go into a church, but they also go into mosques. They go into places where they know civilians are and there are not guns to combat them, and they kill innocent people because that's what they're paid to do. And you want to go on Twitter and speak at the United Nations about freedom of religion and freedom of this and freedom, and only to defend Trump statements about Christians being, and I want to be very clear, they're not being genocided in Nigeria. And that would also, because that insinuates that like it is one group being targeted. And it is specifically and only because they're Christians, when that is not the case. It's just not. I did an extensive hotspot video on this. More Muslims have been killed in the last several years than Christians. And of course, all these people have been primarily killed by Boko Haram. And the U.S. Congress has admitted the U.S. funds Boko Haram. So like the call is coming from inside the crib. And this is why you got like these FBA, these free black Americans, they be calling people like Nicki Minaj tethers. That's why they be calling y'all tethers. Because y'all be good little puppets for the empire. You are calling for a country of Nigerians, of black people, of Africans to be invaded. And you don't even realize it because you a dumbass who was just looking for clout. You're just looking for clout and you don't care who gets caught in the crossfire. And we know she don't care. We know Nicki don't care because the same Nicki Minaj is married to a fucking rapist. She don't care.
But today, faith is under attack in way too many places. In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. Sadly, this problem is not only a growing problem in Nigeria, but also in so many other countries across the world, and it demands urgent action. And I want to be clear.
List the countries.
Protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity. Nigeria is a beautiful nation with deep faith traditions.
It's not about taking sides. It's kind of, when you don't mention once again, more Muslims have been killed. Like, it's just a fact. When you don't mention, and even if it wasn't more Muslims, maybe it was just like a little bit less, but they're still being killed in mass, just like the Christians are. Like, you're like, oh, it's not about taking sides. It kind of seems like it is. Because why? Okay, you see how she said, it's not just happening in these Christians are not just being targeted in Nigeria, it's happening all over the world. Okay, name like at least 2 more countries, Nicki. Like, name like 2 or 3. Oh, that's right, you can't, because the focus actually is Nigeria. because that's what you were told to focus on. You don't know any other country where Christians are being targeted because you weren't brought to the UN by the Trump administration, and you're not being celebrated by the Trump administration for talking about other countries. You were brought there to convince Black people to support this white Western imperialist administration putting boots on the ground in Nigeria to try and control the region because the AES is putting foots to ass. That's what's happening. I'm not gonna make y'all listen to the rest of this because this is a bunch more bullshit. But it is, and like you, but you know, it's getting serious out here. You know, like they are. I need y'all to understand something about Nigeria. One of the most interesting things about this whole situation with Nigeria is the fact that Nigeria's government is a puppet government. It is a U.S. puppet government already. Tinubu, if you even want to call him that, that's not really his real name, but Tinubu is a Chicago drug lord who was selected by the U.S. to be the president of Nigeria. It's complicated, but that's the gist of it. It is a puppet government that's basically controlled by like BP and other oil companies. Like it's been like that. Nigeria is a heavily, their media is just, I mean, it's pretty shit. It's heavily manipulated by the West. Has been for some time. Like if you ask Nigerians who actually know what's going on, they know what time it is. So like, I know some people will probably think, well, why would that, so people immediately jump to the resources. And I'm like, I know that's gonna sound weird, but the US already basically has control of their resources. They do. And they're like, what? Well, then what do you mean? Like, why then, how could my point be true that it's about putting boots on the ground? Because if you listen, they're not trying to overthrow the government. They need boots on the ground. They need bases in the region with countries that are willing to allow them to build bases there. Why? Because who does Nigeria border? Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, the AES, the Sahel states that were able to expel NATO powers and specifically France from the region, the same Sahel states that whenever they were like, the US and France and ECOWAS were like, we're gonna overthrow your governments and take them back if y'all don't relieve power. And then Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger are like, we motherfucking dare you. Come on, bring it. Come try. We dare you to. And ECOWAS in France and the US were like, you know what? We changed our mind. Y'all can have it. And instead of staying three separated states, economies, and militaries, they made a union with each other and then brought in Russia to help solidify themselves militarily and brought in China to help solidify their economies. And so if you're Nigeria, and if you're, or more specifically, if you're Nigeria, right? And if you're a Nigerian, especially under Tinubu of all people, and you're looking over there at Burkina Faso, right? You're looking at Ibrahim Traore, like, damn, man, this dude on social media, everybody love him. What's going on over there? And you're looking at Mali, and you're looking at Niger, taking their countries back, using their resources to benefit their own. They don't have a mass exodus of people leaving their country, a brain drain in the way that Nigeria sees all the time. You see people like, I ain't going no damn where. And they are so successful that France is over here. They've had to switch prime ministers 5 times in 2 years because their economy is fucked. It is so bad. Y'all know, people don't realize, guys, France's economy is the second largest economy in the EU. Y'all know that? The second largest economy in the EU has switched prime ministers 5 times. Why? Because they need to introduce a budget that can sustain France, but nobody wants to save money, nor do they want to admit the problem is that they can no longer rob Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger without consequence. Nobody wants to admit that that's really the problem. So now the entire EU is suffering, by the way, because the second largest economy in the EU has their deficit is ridiculous. Their inflation is ridiculous. France is collapsing. It is the second largest economy to the second largest Western institution or Western government in the world. So if I'm Nigeria and I'm like looking over there at the AES, I'm thinking to myself, why can't we have that shit? Hey, Tinubu, real quick, let me talk to you. I know you got this partnership with the US and I'm supposed to pretend like I don't know what's really going on. I'm supposed to play stupid, but real talk. Hey, can you do that? I mean, if they got the resources to do it and they didn't have any resources and they were being robbed, pillaged, plundered, they were going, their experience was far worse than ours. Their countries were worse off than ours. And yet they were able to kick out France. And France even and you know it's real because France is cooked and they still can't get back to the AES to take these countries back. So you know it's real. Hey, man, why can't we have that? Do y'all think the United States wants Nigeria to join the AES? Because that's a West African nation too. You think that they want Nigeria to join the Sahel states? And also, how are you going to get those countries back to help re-legitimize and really solidify the economy of the second largest country, the second largest economy in the EU, the same EU that you need to help fund and fight to maintain your international conglomerates and all the countries that you are currently in control of economically or militarily or otherwise around the world. You can't put bases in Mali anymore or Niger anymore or Burkina Faso. And you don't have anybody who has bases there. And they busting y'all asses. They busting the terrorist asses that you're putting there to overthrow them. Okay. So you put terrorists in Nigeria and you have them give you a reason to have a base in Nigeria. And they had bases in Nigeria, but I'm talking about put boots on the ground, put legitimate military deployments. I ain't talking about no little, I'm talking about real deployments. Like Iraq type shit. And you do what you do in Syria. Because what happened in Syria? They put terrorists in Syria. And then whenever Assad is trying to take them out, they put boots on the ground in Syria, pretend like it was about attacking and getting rid of the terrorists, but it was really about overthrowing Assad. Okay, so go to Libya. They used Chad to send terrorists into Libya whenever Gaddafi tried to fight those terrorists. They said he was attacking his own people, put boots on the ground. NATO got involved, overthrew Gaddafi. So they have to deploy a similar strategy in the situation because there is no other, they're out of options, guys. They're out of options and the rest of Africa is paying attention. This has nothing to do with Christians. I just want to make that very clear. It has everything to do with France collapsing. This war in Ukraine not helping the situation because Russia done cut off natural gas to the EU. The fact that BP and a lot of these companies that the US and the EU and basically just NATO powers in general are in charge of and reliant on, because if natural gas is cut off and oil is being cut off by Russia into the EU, And what happens when Nigeria says, fuck y'all? we go, hey, Tinubu, either you get out or we gonna put you out. And the moment, you gotta understand, guys, the moment the people of Nigeria give the green light, y'all don't think the AES that are now united militarily and have the backing of Russia militarily, y'all don't think they're gonna be like, we got y'all, just say the word. Just say the word and we got y'all, because they can't beat us. And if the US does not get there before that happens, they will lose Nigeria. If the US doesn't get there before that happens, they will lose Nigeria. If the US loses Nigeria, that's basically all of West Africa. I mean, it's not literally all of West Africa, but it's the part of West Africa that matters the most. The EU would be done. The AES would spread, because now you just flexed your fucking military might. You flexed your might. You show that a unified Africa can do much more than a separated, balkanized Africa. They will start to expect, because y'all know it's harder for African to travel between African countries than it is for a European or American to travel to African countries. Yeah, that shit will be out the window. That's why they're sending the Nicki Minaj out to the world to try and advocate and say that it's a Christian genocide. Nah, bro, that's not happening. That's not what's happening. President Jafar, appreciate the super chat. I'm Caribbean, but we're not rocking with Trinidadians at all right now. They collaborate with the U.S. to invade Venezuela. Now Nicki with this propaganda. Actually, Trinidad, unfortunately, has always, the government at least, has always collaborated with the U.S. to run operations in Latin America. Special forces in SOCOM, or Southcom, excuse me. SOCOM, I don't think about SOCO, the Drake. But Southcom has always operated out of Trinidad. They launched from Trinidad to overthrow Grenada, actually. Bishop, what's his name? Maurice Bishop? Yeah, they launched out of Trinidad to overthrow Maurice Bishop. It's always been a problem. Trinidad has always cooperated with the US. But yeah, man. Isn't that crazy? Like, all this for clout, bro? All this for clout. You gonna let, and this is who Nicki is, by the way. So I just want to be clear about that this is who Nicki is. This does not surprise me in the slightest. Like, this is who she is, who's always, and this isn't the first time that she's like basically sucked up and kissed Republican ass to try and go viral. This isn't the first time. So, but now she's going to end up looking like a dumbass. But and don't get it, like, she's getting roasted low key on Twitter. Everybody like, for real. There's some people who are roasting her just, I don't care. Like, it's not the Trump angle that I'm most concerned with. Like, I know that she's kissing his ass specifically because of the clout of this, but like, it's you're pushing, like, I don't know if she knows it, but people are telling her, you are advocating for Donald Trump to invade another country. And you are not even aware of why you're advocating for it. You think that you're aware, but like, you're really not. And like, if Trump was like, I'm going in this country, I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to protect Christians by attacking X group. Okay, Nicki, who is he going to attack? Who? Name the people. The government? No, that's his government. They put them in power. The Nigerian military? No, that's their military. Who? The multinational energy corporations? No, those are ours. Who are they going to attack? Boko Haram? Yeah, right. Because we already know how that goes. The U.S., if there is a terrorist organization in the country, if the U.S. goes there, them motherfuckers get more powerful. The U.S. doesn't enter a country and a terrorist organization just leaves. The U.S. enters a country and a terrorist organization spreads. And there's probably going to be a couple of offshoots. There's going to be Boko Haram Part A, Boko Haram Part B, and Boko Haram Part C. And all of a sudden, that's going to lead to an excuse to be in Mali. And it's going to lead to an excuse to be in Niger. It's going to lead to an excuse to be in Burkina Faso. And I wish y'all luck because you're going to need it. Because if y'all don't think that those three countries are what are ready and willing to put foots in ass, okay, ask France. There is a reason France is like, deuces. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. In 3 countries. They said, we know our economy cannot survive without being in at least one of these nations. And they knew this. And they still were like, but we out. So good luck. Really quick, man, let's talk about this color revolution in Mexico really quick. It's just do a little quick rundown. Yeah, it is clearly a color revolution, or at least an attempt at a color revolution. Marco Rubio has made it clear that he is going to try to overthrow every government in Latin America that seems to be a threat to the U.S. right-wing interests or U.S. interests in general, and specifically leftist governments. And Claudia Sheinbaum might not be super socialist, but she's leftist enough. I know that she's not, I wouldn't put her like in the Maduro category, but she's problematic for Trump. And actually, there's this thing about Sheinbaum that people haven't really been paying attention to. And it actually would probably explain why all of a sudden Trump and the US are so interested in Mexico. So their number one export, if you will, is actually manufacturing and its vehicles. So cool, whatever. Mexico, however, has a shitload of natural resources. They just don't have as much access to them as one would think, which is why natural resources are not their primary export, and also why Mexico has to be very careful about how they engage with other superpowers economically, because until they can figure out a way to extract those resources in a way that isn't going to compromise the environment and the community that those resources are found in, they can't export the resources to support their own economy to the degree that they're using the manufacturing industry to support their economy. So, in other words, there are a lot of people who think Sheinbaum is like Obama, and I don't think that's a fair comparison. That is not a fair comparison. No, I know it's not. Because even though she has, her party rather, especially, has some problematic relationships with some of the business people, the billionaires in Mexico, Sheinbaum, there's been pressure on her to basically ignore the environment, ignore the disenfranchised communities or the communities that would be disenfranchised, to extract these resources like lithium, like gold, and others, and sell it. And she's refused to do so. She's like, I'm not going to destroy communities to get these resources. We gotta find it in communities where we gotta find it in areas where it's not going to destroy, and we got to figure out a way it's going to be safe for the environment. So like when I say she's not Obama, I mean like literally, because we know Obama was like, fuck that environment, get the oil. Frack the shit out of that, like break them rocks, frack that community, frack you, frack you, frack you, frack you. Basically. Now, if I was Donald Trump, or specifically the US empire, and I was in a situation where China is whooping my ass in the lithium war, the resource that will probably run the world in the next few years, right? Because China not just winning, I mean, they're winning in Bolivia. They already have the most. Like, so China already has the most, but they're also winning in Bolivia. They're winning it in Africa, the Caribbean. I think it's pretty safe to say your boy in Argentina, what's his dumbass name? Oh my goodness, the president of Argentina. Can't remember his name because I'm just thinking about him trying to sing rock and roll during what was supposed to be a promotion for his book. And yeah, that's just wild. Anyway, Malay, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that he's probably gonna be kicked the fuck out. Like he's gone, right? I think we all agree with that. So like they will, in Argentina's part, if I'm not mistaken, of the lithium triangle. So yeah, China's gonna get that too, right? Combine that with the fact that it looks like that whole oil situation in Venezuela is not going to work out in their favor because Russia is now a partner with Venezuela in that regard. So now Mexico, your neighbor, Mexico is like, okay, this is our secret weapon. Like we haven't really done the color revolution thing to that degree, at least not in the last like few decades. Like we haven't really tried because we kind of have always gotten Mexico to do whatever we wanted them to do. We got a leftist in power. We can call her a communist, and she ain't kissed the wall. She ain't made the trip. She got caught wearing a kippah. I heard she was pro-Palestinian. So let's call her a communist, say she's working with the cartels, get some right-wing politicians to say that she's getting funded from the cartels, and let's get that One Piece flag, fly it, and say that it's another Gen Z protest like Nepal. Yeah. I mean, because that's basically what happened. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, that's basically what happened. Mexico is, and Michoacan, by the way, is rich in resources. And it also just happened to be the place where I can't remember his name, but that mayor got killed by cartel. But y'all know how I feel about cartels. I think how everybody in the U.S. feels about cartels. We know that cartels only thrive in the U.S., in Mexico, because the U.S. allows them to. Who do these cartels sell drugs to? The U.S. Right? The Mexican president is Jewish, though. How's that? I mean, well, she's Jewish, but she's still Mexican. I mean, that's kind of how they're like black Mexicans, they're indigenous Mexicans, they're white Mexicans. It's Mexico. Like y'all know. Oh my God, I can't remember her name right now, but the actress from Black Panther, T'Challa's love interest in Black Panther, y'all do know she's Mexican, right? Like that's if you saw her in Wakanda Forever, she's speaking Spanish fluently because Spanish was her first language. She's Mexican. Like there are various types of Mexicans, first of all. But second of all, she was part of AMLO's party, and AMLO was very famous, and she's famous for continuing the majority of the policies that he started. But also, they're like, oh, she's getting funding from the cartels, except for she's passed several policies to help deal with the cartels, which is why Mexico has been safer since she's become the president, which is why she has a fucking ridiculously high. Her approval rating at one point was like 83%. I don't give a damn who you are. You know how difficult it would be to fake that? And if you're gonna say that that's fake, then you gotta be like, okay, every single poll in Mexico has like that's ever happened is fake. Because I get questioning poll numbers, and they're like, okay, so it's fluctuated between 70% and 83%. That is still dumb high. Like I don't think y'all understand how like that is extremely difficult. And it's because Mexico has become safer. The economy has done better. Is continuing to do better. And I guarantee you, the moment she decides that she's going to try to start destroying the community to get natural resources, that's probably going to drop drastically. But you got Republican Mexican Congress people going on the news and literally begging for Trump to literally invade the country. I'm not joking. And whenever Trump comes out, Lupita, yep, that's her name. Yeah, she's of Kenyan ethnicity, but like she's like, it's like I'm American, but I'm Bayesian. But I was born in New York, so I'm American. My kids are Brazilian, but they're American or half American, but like also Bayesian. So, but if you got Republican Congress people coming in, going on the news and literally begging Trump to invade Mexico, and then Trump is saying that he's willing to bomb Mexico. Motherfucker, what? Here we go. So basically, here we go again, like Venezuela Part 2. Yep, let's bomb shit. See how that works out? Let's just bomb it. I wish we could bomb those cartels. Yeah, okay. Y'all know, what's his name? Let me see if I, Calderon. He was a president from maybe 2006 to 2012? Let me confirm that. But I think it was about 2006 to 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 2006, 2012. So Calderon, he decided, he's a Republican, he's a conservative. So he decided, I'm gonna go to war with the cartels. I'm gonna just, fuck it, gonna ramp up military. We gonna go to war. That's what he ran on this. Y'all wanna know how that turned out? There were like tens of thousands of casualties. And also, he didn't deal with the corruption within the police force and the military. And I'm sure he did zero to actually address how much America was invested in these cartels. So you know what ends up happening by the end of his administration, especially like the last 2 years? The one who went to war with the cartels, like they're asking Trump to invade the country and do you know what ended up happening? He fractured the cartels and there actually became more cartels. Yes, I said that the military force that he applied to go to war with the cartels led to a fracturing, more cartels, and more competition. So the drugs for a time actually got cheaper. And because he didn't deal with the money laundering problem, no one knows how the money was getting like cleaned up. But they knew there was a lot of it getting flowed because, let's be honest, who's buying the drugs, guys? Who's buying the drugs? America. Okay. Matter of fact, do y'all know where a lot of these cartels, like a lot of the bosses end up living? A lot of the bosses like live in the U.S. I wanted to go visit my godson in El Paso, and he was telling me about this mansion on a corner of the street that he lived at. And I'm like, bro, what the hell? They got Lamborghini, it was like a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, a Lamb truck, a McLaren, and it was all in the same driveway. I said, what is going on here? He said, oh, that's a plug. Like, how do you know that? Oh, they try to recruit me. They're from Mexico. I said, why are they here instead of in Mexico? Then if they're he said, well, most of the bosses live here. They live in El Paso. It's safer in Juarez than it is in El Paso. I'm like, well, huh? So I'm like, I started asking around at that point, and I even went to Juarez to ask People because I found out from various people, even driving. I met this Uber driver, and he is an American. He was a Mexican American, or rather, an American Mexican. Actually, he was born in America. His parents were born in Mexico. I said, "Oh, like where do you live at?" He said, "Oh no, I live in Juarez." I said, "What? You come here every single day to drive Uber?" He said, "Yeah. Why? Oh, it's way safer there. Why? Because the cartels, they live in this." The cartel leaders and the people primarily engaging in the violence, they live in El Paso. It's safer to live in Juarez. I'm like, yo, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, most of the Mexicans there know that. That's why you have so many American Mexicans living in Mexico. Because it's safer to live on that side of the border than it is to live on the American side, because they know the American police are going to protect the cartels because they know what their job is. I said, yo, this is crazy. That's why it's important. Sometimes you got to go visit some place to know exactly how shit is going down. Because I knew, given history, I knew that we know cartels only thrive to the degree that they do, whether it be Mexico, Colombia, Panama. I guess the president would be the cartel leader. Not Panama, excuse me. In Ecuador. Yeah, if y'all know his history, you should look that up. Yeah, his family literally got caught shipping cocaine in boxes. I'm not joking. That's a real story. That's why it was hilarious whenever Trump was like, "We're going to work with him to combat trafficking." Like, bro, what? You're gonna work with the plug to combat trafficking? He is the plug. If I'm dead ass serious, yo. Like, what's his name? Hold on. I'm gonna tell y'all his name so y'all can look that shit up because I'm not even joking. I'm bad with names, just in case y'all didn't know. Naboa, there you go. That's his name, Naboa. Naboa is like his family business is being the plug. And I'm not saying like they were accused and it was like a scandal and no, motherfucker, they were caught, accused, prosecuted. They were like, it was a big ass deal. And this man like, yep, President of Ecuador now. And Trump was like, as they're calling Maduro a narco terrorist, they're like, yeah, man, so we're gonna work with Naboa to help combat. Bro, I bullshit you not, dog. So like, my point is, you had a president, a conservative president, who went to war with the cartels without addressing the fact that really it's America funding the cartels. They're not, and who is sent, like where the cartels are selling this shit to. And also, like, do y'all think that the cartels were able to fracture, break off, create more competition, continue to sell drugs while the Mexican government was waging war with them by themselves? No, they operate like terrorist organizations in every other country that the U.S. is involved in. Somebody paying the bills. Somebody's paying the bills. And you know what the Republicans, and I believe, at least the Republican Mexicans, but also some Republicans here in the States, you know what they started calling her? Narco politician. Narco. Oh, does that sound familiar? Is it the same rhetoric that we see them using to describe Maduro? The problem is you got the same situation, and in Maduro, as popular as Maduro is in Venezuela, he doesn't even have the approval rating that Scheinbaum has. And y'all think that y'all about to, them 15 people that y'all invited, that's about to get the job done? Y'all ain't about to color revolutionize a damn thing. This is not Ukraine. Mexico had AMLO, and they said, we want that again. Please, thank you, get out of my face. We understand that there are problems here, but it also shows some type of understanding about who was actually responsible for those problems and who isn't responsible for those problems. And they know who is trying to better the situation, who is contributing to the problems happening in Mexico. It shows that they understand a lot of what's going on there. They have a more educated population in the US because the US is like, oh my God, you see all these Gen Z protesters? I'm like, who them old motherfuckers is? a lot of old people there. I agree, Ragnar. It said the CIA will never let Mexico become clean. Absolutely not. They will not. And that's what it really comes down to. You know how we know? Because Sheinbaum actually told Trump, we will accept help financially, like economically, if you want to contribute from but you will not invade Mexico and violate our sovereignty. And Trump didn't like that. It's like, well, if I thought the goal was to help us, so you're going to try to dictate the way that we deal with our situation? Why do you need troops on the ground to help? Same reason they want troops on the ground in Venezuela. Same reason they want troops on the ground in Nigeria. No, we need to control the outcome of the situation. Really, the outcome of the situation is to allow these cartels to continue being a problem. So we have an excuse to be in your country because we need them resources that you won't destroy your community to extract. Because China is busting our ass right now. We going broke. Go buy some eggs in the US. You got to take out a goddamn loan. Just saying. All I'm saying is there is recent history of a president, a conservative president. That's probably part of the reason why the left keeps winning there. Why AMLO won? Why Sheinbaum won in such a it was a blowout. I was there the day Sheinbaum got elected, actually. I was actually in Mexico. It was a blowout because they had someone who tried to implement the strategy that these Republican Mexicans want them to implement, and tens of thousands of people died as a result, and the cartels got more powerful. So excuse Mexicans if they don't want to repeat history and they don't want to military, and even Sheinbaum was like, I'm not about to commit extrajudicial murders to deal with these cartels. That's like, no, we're not doing that. Just like, we're not going to violate human rights. Like, we're not going to sacrifice our humanity to defend humanity. Like, what's the point at that point? Especially when you know who's the real problem, right? Really quick, man, we gotta get to this last topic. The Democrats, well, really everybody, but the Democrats finally decided to get off their ass and do something about Epstein files, because after the emails that got dropped, and we found out Trump is out here giving the Glock 3000 to Bubba. Everybody is presuming is Bill Clinton. It turns out the Oval Office is not, they ain't just call it the Oval Office because of the shape of the office, but because of the shape of the man that was in there. Now, I'm telling you, bro, now we know. After that email, it's become clear to me why Hillary Clinton hated Trump so very, very much. It has become very clear to me. It was jealousy. You not woman enough to take my man. Well, I may not be woman enough, but I sure am man enough. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now Trump, he like, It's a Democrat conspiracy theory, and also now I'm going to do everything in my power to release all the files because to prove that it's a Democrat conspiracy theory. And I'm thinking to myself, well, is it a conspiracy theory or not? Because now you're saying you want to release the files to expose. Because he said the Epstein scandal is a Democrat conspiracy, but then he said that Epstein was giving all of his money to the Democrats. So it's actually the Democrats that are guilty of all the shit that Epstein and powerful politicians are being accused of. But like, if it's a conspiracy theory, that means none of it ever happened. So how are they guilty of something that never happened? But you're saying that it was Epstein giving all the money to the Democrats and none to you, forgetting that at the time, that a lot of this shit was going down, you were a Democrat, Trump. Until 2015, you were one of the largest donors to the Democratic Party. And apparently you were given to the Democratic Party in more than one way. You were a team player for real. The best saxophone player since Bill Clinton, from what we heard. Oh, let me stop. Boy, it's crazy when you go back and listen to some of the audio from Trump, like the way he be like talking about some dudes. It makes a lot of sense now because the dude, like, think about how he like described it. Jolani's a handsome guy, as a handsome fellow, good looking guy, strong man. Y'all heard the way he described Arnold Palmer? Like, basically talking about his Johnson and how other men were jealous of his Johnson and intimidated by his Johnson. Like, if you go back and listen to some of the shit Trump has said in retrospect, a lot of it makes sense now. I'm just saying. Kind of does. And like I said, it also makes sense why Hillary hated Trump so much, because she probably knew. And Bill Clinton got to go be back here with just got to be quiet about everything because he's just sitting back here with it, man. The Trump sucked my dick face. I can't really say nothing. Cause you know what's worse? He couldn't say anything, not because it was embarrassing, but because of how much he liked it. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm not gonna get started. I could spend an hour just grossing up because that shit. That Gawk 3000, boy. That Sandos. If you know what Sandos means, I'll be very impressed. That's some slang for you right there. But so y'all know there was a vote in the House to release the Epstein files. And Kash Patel was brought to speak about conducting an investigation into the powerful people involved with the Epstein scandal. And Kash Patel did not disappoint. He made an ass of himself in the exact way I expected him to. I'm not gonna lie, but it might have been worse than what I was expecting, honestly. So hear what Kash Patel had to say when asked about conducting a formal investigation, about holding some people accountable for the things that we all know happened.
There's no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one
For the information that we have
in the files.
in the case file.
Okay.
There's no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that correct. Kash Patel will not bring a case against Epstein and the people that he trafficked to because there is no credible evidence that Epstein trafficked to anybody, except for all of the evidence that was used to throw his ass in jail because of all of the people he trafficked to. This is the same Kash Patel, ladies and gentlemen, This is the same Cash Patel that literally ran on exposing Epstein and the government's involvement with the cover-up of Epstein. It's the same man, y'all. It's the same dude, bro. This is so embarrassing. You know, Tom, let me see if I can find that video of Thomas Massey. Because Thomas Massey he couldn't believe, like, are you for real? Let me see if I can find that video of Thomas Massey calling him out. Like, bro, I know you did not just say that shit when we... yeah, I found it. He's like, ain't no way, bro. I know you did not just say that shit. But sometimes I be feeling bad for Thomas Massey because he gotta go in every day. He gotta go to the Capitol and his neck has got to be just swollen, like cracked. Because he just show up to Capitol every day just shaking his fucking head. It's bro, these motherfuckers, bruh. For real, like, look, even in this video, he can't even be like shocked at what he's hearing because he's just so over being shocked at what he's hearing because it just happens so often.
According to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
Bruh. He's like, I know you did not just say that shit. Like we don't got access to everything that you got. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't like Congress had to go and do some super deep research to figure out whether or not Epstein trafficked little girls to elites all over the world. He was found guilty of doing so. Matter of fact, what is the biggest problem that all of us have had with the Epstein case? Not that he was finally found guilty. It's the fact that he was found guilty. And then Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty. And they were both found guilty of trafficking underage women to a bunch of adults. But no other adult has been prosecuted for having underage women trafficked to them. That has been our biggest problem with everything, because both cases fully acknowledge that the girls were trafficked to older men. And Kash Patel has the unmitigated gall to look Congress in the face under oath and be like, there's no credible proof that Epstein trafficked any little girls to anybody. So what? It's like he got a McDonald's playhouse at the crib? Like all those victims are like what? So the courts are wrong? I mean, because he didn't just get prosecuted once. Y'all remember this? Because speaking of Trump saying that Epstein only donates to Dems and Republicans got nothing to do with this, and this is a Democrat conspiracy theory. If that's the case, why did Alex Acosta, a Republican who was formerly part of Trump's administration, when he was the judge of Epstein's first case, why was it him who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal? Mr. Republican. It's all of y'all. It's all of y'all and Bubba. Woo, this is crazy, bruh. They playing and I cannot believe there are people who get on social media every single day and defend these motherfuckers. There are people who get on social media every single day and defend these motherfuckers. How can you have a president that you support who is watching his FBI director lie and say that Epstein was guilty of basically nothing? And oh, by the way, these are the same people who will get on social media and defend Trump and say he was not involved with Epstein at all. And he is not hiding anything because he was so angered and infuriated by the actions of Epstein that he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And that is the hill that they are dying on. Okay, if he was so angry about the shit Epstein was participating in, why is he sitting by and letting his hand-picked FBI director tell all of y'all and all of us and all of Congress that Epstein was guilty of nothing? Because that's y'all guy. Y'all said Trump hated Epstein. That's why he couldn't have possibly been part of any of this shit. But then he sits there and lets Kash Patel tell y'all that he was guilty of trafficking nobody. And oh, by the way, tries to convince the world whenever people call him out about the Epstein files of what? It's nothing, it's a nothing burger, and it is simply a Democratic conspiracy theory. It's an Obama-Biden conspiracy theory. And so explain to me, ladies and gentlemen, how can it be both? How can he couldn't have possibly had anything to do with Epstein because he was so infuriated that once he found out about what Epstein was doing, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, and therefore we shouldn't even be looking in Trump's direction when it comes to the Epstein files. And under the same breath, at the same time, it's a Democrat conspiracy theory that never happened? Man, Bubba must have been packing. Because that's the only way that you can have two holes to be talking out of both sides of your motherfucking neck like that. That's the only explanation. That's the only explanation. And these, I have seen so, bro, I can't begin to explain to y'all how much I don't even like getting on Twitter anymore because like the algorithm is so shit. All I see is the dumbest of dumbasses, a charcuterie board of dumbassity all up and down my timeline. It's just dumb people. Over and dump, like I'm forced to defend Candace Owens on a daily basis because in this new crazy world we're living in, Candace Owens investigating the death of her friend that this motherfucker Kash Patel and the FBI and the U.S. government are clearly covering up. Like people think that she's the crazy one. That's where we're at. They think she's crazy for conducting an investigation that the FBI is too goddamn lazy to conduct. Well, no, I ain't gonna say that. That's giving them too much credit. No, that the FBI is purposely covering up. Not because I give a shit about Charlie Kirk, but because why is one Egyptian plane surveilling Charlie Kirk, and why are we finding out that there are two Egyptian planes that they thought were surveilling and monitoring Charlie Kirk? Actually, they look like they were surveilling and protecting to some degree Erica Kirk since 2022. Like, that's where we're at. And people, when Candace shows the proof, and like, they're like, she's crazy one. Oh, you think Kash Patel is lying when he says that Jeffrey Epstein isn't guilty of exactly what the courts found him guilty of? y'all must be crazy. Y'all must be some liberal, libtard, dumbass. Like, what? And that's the shit I see up and down my timeline all day. What is going on in this world, y'all? I see mother showing my picture of Mamdani with the Twin Towers. Oh man, look at y'all must have forgot. I haven't forget, never forget. Oh, but then like the same week, it ain't been 72 hours. Trump shaking Jelani's hand in the White House. He is a New Yorker. Shaking Jelani's hands, Mr. Al-Qaeda in the White House. That's a good looking man. I know he's had a rough past. A rough past? He's a terrorist. He's still doing terrorist shit in Syria. But all of a sudden, the timeline, they done forgot about the Twin Towers. It was that quick. Whenever Mr. Al-Qaeda shows up to the White House, and you got a timeline of fucking Republican officials in DC elite congratulating him and talking about what an amazing job he's going to do in Syria, all of a sudden, the Twin Tower pictures, they just went away. All of a sudden, never forget became, well, maybe it's okay. In this particular case, maybe it's okay to forget sometimes. The U.S. is so cooked. Oh, man. The U.S. is cooked. If these are the algorithms guiding the opinions of the masses, the U.S. is fucking cooked. Because there are enough people that believe this shit that they're fed. Unfortunately. But according to Kash Patel, everybody, according to Kash Patel, Epstein is not guilty of the very exact thing that he was found guilty of and then thrown in jail for, and then subsequently Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty of and then thrown in jail for. He has no proof, no credible proof of all the proof that has already been provided. The evidence was not evidential enough, evidentially. Jesus Christ, Lord Almighty, sweet baby Jesus, Buddha, and Allah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People Podcast. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you share this video. Leave a comment below for the replay to help us in the algorithm. Make sure that you support the show on Patreon. The link is in the description. You can become a Patreon member. Just donate $5. Help keep the show alive. Keep us up and running. Thank you, by the way, for all the love for my sweet baby girl, Nicki, Simone. Yes, she's here. She's arrived. That's where I was at. Hey, wife had a C-section. Baby was born. Dog, it's been a madhouse. Hey, look, exhausted. I'm not going to lie. Yo, they don't talk about, going from 2 kids to 3 is like, that shit is a jump. And especially when one of those kids is a toddler, because there is no way to communicate with him in a way that he actually gives a fuck about all the stress that he is causing for us. And I just saw Logicist, my baby boy, he is not known for being calm. He is not like this. My son is probably the smartest year and 8-month-old child that you will ever meet. I'm not joking. This little kid, this little boy is different. And anyone who's met him, make it. But there's a flip side of that. He is an asshole. I love my son to death, but he's an asshole. Everybody knows it. His godmom is literally scared because his godmom is my oldest son's godmom too. And we be like, hey man, you gonna come pick him up for the weekend? And she like, shit. I don't know. Because she's terrified of him. Everybody is terrified. Before my son comes down, I bullshit y'all. Now, this is a truth. This is real life. This is my life every day. Before my youngest son is allowed to come downstairs, before somebody picks him up out the crib and brings him downstairs, there has to be an announcement made. to everybody in the house. His aunt, my wife, my oldest. Hey man, everybody good? You put y'all put y'all stuff away? Anybody got anything breakable around? Like, is your toys that you don't want him playing with up? Like glass cups put away? Everybody good? We have at least one person or two people in the room to make sure that he doesn't literally leave the house because my baby can unlock doors and walk out. This is true. Like, did y'all remove the chairs from the table so he can't climb on top of the tables? All right, let's bring him down. This is every day. I'll bullshit y'all not. Like his godmom was here the other day, and they were like, yo, this little boy is like, he's a battery, dog. When he walks in the room, I bullshit you not, it gets like 5 degrees hotter every single time. He's like a battery. He comes in, starts dancing, starts singing. Like there's a whole ritual and routine that we go through every day with him to make sure that he don't raise hell. But his aunt like didn't come to the house one day because she was moving. And dog, it was like a Sunday. It was right after Nicki was born, like 2 weeks after Nicki was born. And like, and his aunt was at the house every day to help because my wife was recovering from her surgery, and we got the oldest, and so we needed some help in the crib, right? So she just took the night off to go ahead on her stuff for the move, and my lodger, he comes downstairs, right, and it is fucking chaos. And I cannot figure out what I'm like, I'm running to the kitchen, running back to the room, running upstairs, running downstairs. Lodge says, stop, stop, grabbing him. Levy, get your brother. Babe, where's this at? Hey, stop going out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I realized it was just because his aunt wasn't here for that like 1 hour on the night that he usually spends in the kitchen with her while she's cooking. Like this man was raising hell in the crib. I'm sweating trying to keep up with this motherfucker. I'm sweating. Everybody stressing out. My oldest is running in and out the toy room. My wife is just like, babe, help. Because my son is trying to like play with his sister, but he got 2 ways to play with her. He either rubs her head or tries to kick her or throw something at her, because he's 1 year and 8 months old and doesn't know any better. So like, bruh, just because his aunt was gone for one night, like the whole house was in chaos because of this little boy. I'm like, how the hell did I do this? I didn't do this. I don't remember. Nobody informed me of this. This is not normal toddler behavior. I know toddlers can be a little bit much, but my mom was like, yo, I know toddlers are a lot, but your son is not like normal toddlers. Like we're scared to put him in daycare because we're worried they're going to pay us to take his ass back. we literally like, yo, man, what happens if we put him in daycare? They're just like, no. What do we do? And he's so sweet. That's the crazy part. He's so sweet, but there's a word in Portuguese, levado. That's the only way to describe him. Like basically, this boy is like a little emotional terrorist. Like he just be walking around terrorizing motherfuckers. But he's so sweet, and everybody loves him, bro. Everybody be coming to the house to see him. Everybody wants to play with him and spend time with him. But like you be like, hey, you wanna hang out with him for like 30 minutes by yourself? Oh no, can't do it. Sorry. Why not? Don't got the courage. I can't do it. And ain't like I can just carry him around all day because he weighs as much as a 3-year-old. Now at this point, he weighs as much as a kid who is 3.5 years old. So like that's out the window. Like ain't like I just, you just keep babies in your arms. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna carry him around until he's tired. No, it don't work like that. My back be killing me. And every time he sees me carrying his sister, he's 1 year and 8 months old. So what does that mean? Why aren't you carrying me? What the hell? Come here. Dad. Bro, no, I have your sister in my hand. Yeah, he don't care. He don't care about none of that shit. So like going from 2 to 3 is crazy, but going from 2 to 3 when you have a toddler is a whole different experience. It is hilariously exhausting. I like every single day is a story. We got windows, dog. We got windows and every day is a challenge. Like it's like, okay, we gotta get this done by this time because we know Nicki gonna wake up at this time and Levy gets home from school at this time. So it's this window we have to do whatever we gotta do with Lachesis. Cause we need to have him we had to have him ready to rest, but we can't put him in his crib yet because he's got to eat first to make sure that he naps right. So we got to get him ready to rest before my oldest son gets home, feed him on time so that my oldest son can go ahead and do his homework and this motherfucker can nap so he doesn't irritate my oldest son while he's doing his homework, and I can try to get some work done and my wife can deal with the other crying baby while she. So whenever like me and wife are in agreement, okay, we're gonna try to take a nap, and she be on her like, oh well, like I'm gonna do no, we are napping now. We are going to nap right now. Put that phone away. Like we going to bed. Oh, but Lachesis is crying. I don't give a damn. Let him cry. Woo, boy, look, it is a party in this house every day. I'm not joking, but I love it, man. I love it. Wouldn't change it for the world. With that being said, y'all, appreciate y'all tuning in this live stream segment for the podcast. Like this video, share this video, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.